Again, my voice is all messed up, but we got a lot to talk about. So let's try this one more time, as best we can with a hoarse voice. Strategic back again. Oh man, boy, this is the second live I'm doing tonight. I gave you guys an hour-long live just a few hours ago, and usually I'm one and done. Rarely do you get two shows out of me in one day. You might get a live show and some pre-produced videos dropped, but rarely do you ever get two live shows in one night. But this night is filled with outstanding news, important news that we need to talk about. We're going to talk about first in the order that you see inside of the description, or rather the title of the show. We're going to talk about Tim Poole versus Ye. I'm going to give you my opinion on this, all right? I watched it. Big shout out to Black Sheepdog, who was inside of the chat and told me, hey, Strategic, hit this link. Tim Poole has Kanye West on. Believe me, I had no idea that Ye was going to be on Tim Poole because I don't normally watch Tim Poole. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of you guys like Tim Poole. A lot of people think he's the best thing since sliced bread. I don't like Tim Poole. I don't like his views. Something about him doesn't seem authentic to me. You got this guy that purports himself to have been one of these, what do they call it? Occupy Wall Street, super purple haired liberal type dudes, right? And now he's some tough guy, gun loving, pseudo conservative. It's like, come on, man. Like, you guys see me on my show, and I'm not trying to compare us. I'm not hating on Tim Pool. His success can't be taken away from him. He's a hardworking dude. I still got my hospital band and I need to cut that off. Wearing it like it's jewelry. But like, you see my evolution, you see where I come from, you see why I have some conservative views, even though I identify as a liberal person. You understand why I would be pro gun, because I'm a cop and I have a gun, and I understand how we could only come but so fast to save your life, and people should be able to defend themselves. I don't have guns in the back of my wall like Tim Pool, old musket guns, like, oh, I'm a gun guy. No, it is what it is. I don't got to fake the funk for you. You know what I'm saying? You guys know that I like my guns because I'm a cop, and I'm a part of that gun culture, but I don't have to throw it in your face. I don't have to talk about guns all the time. Like, the dude talks about civil wars and all that stuff. I'm not a big fan of the guy. I respect his success and his ability to put a show on. Absolutely. You can not like somebody's ideology, but you can also respect their business acumen and their ability to put on a show. Same thing, relationship that I have with Offset Tatum. Don't believe in 90% of his ideology, but I respect his ability to put on a show, and I deeply and profoundly am proud of him. See, that's where I differ with other people who want to hate him just because they don't believe in his ideology. This is a family man. This is a man that came from nothing. He was a two-bit, $30,000, $40,000 a year Arizona cop, and he turned that into a multi-million-dollar business where he's freaking employing dozens of people, feeding dozens of families. You got to respect that, So I respect Officer Tatum for doing that, but I don't agree with him ideology. I don't agree with him politically, right? So Tim Pool somehow got Kanye on his show. And Kanye lasted 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up so you guys can see what I'm talking about. That's it right there. Screenshot of what we was dealing with. And we talked about this in the Discord. We had a discussion about it. Some of the people in the Discord or whatever. First of all, some people were upset that Kanye West was giving this audience and they were calling him an anti-Semite. I disagree. I don't think that Kanye West is an anti-Semite. I think that right now in the Black community, because little do you guys know, some of you, because you're not in the community and you're not in tune with it, the Black community has been trying to find itself for a very long time, because the whole thing with slavery is you take people from different parts of the continent of Africa who don't know who they are. They don't know the history. You mix them together and all that stuff. And so the Black community has no history. All right. African Americans have no history. They don't know where they came from beyond the plantation. There was no records kept, and the slaves were all mixed together. So they didn't speak a common language and share common history. The only language that they would learn together is English, right? So right now, there's a journey in the black community. I agree, in many instances, misguided, where people are trying to find themselves. And some of those movements is that Hebrewism, I call it. That's not the real name, but that's what I call it. This Hebrewism movement, where it's like, well, we believe that Jewish people started on the continent of Africa, so therefore they had to be Africans, and we're going to take that back. Now, do I agree with that? No, I don't really think about that stuff. That's not my journey. But there's a lot of African Americans who can understand where Kanye and Kyrie are coming from. There's a lot of African Americans who may not be those dudes that dress up in the ninja suits and say anti-Semitic and retarded things. The dudes I used to grow up laughing at when I used to walk home from school in Harlem. There's a lot of African Americans that may not specifically follow their ideology, but they have religion that is similar when it comes to Hebrew, the origination of Hebrew and them being Hebrew people. So this requires a larger conversation. All right. Now, Kanye West has said a number of things that I do not agree with. I don't agree with. But does that mean that we should silence the man? I don't think so. Because it seems like in our culture, in our society, that we're selectively silencing people. We're selectively silencing people. We got this whole Balenciaga thing, and a lot of people think, oh, that's a scapegoat when you talk about Balenciaga. If you look into Balenciaga, you will understand just how disgusting and deep that thing goes. But yet nobody's talking about canceling Balenciaga. When you go to the Instagram page that is still up right now of the creative director of Balenciaga, you see children put in disgusting situation type art. You see devil worship, you see slaughter, you see little kids, real pictures of children who were killed by murderers and arpists on this woman's profile. It's there for everybody to see. Shoot, I should have just pulled that crap up. I should have. But I'm rushing to do this live and I didn't. Maybe when we're playing a video, I'm going to look for it. This is the creative director of Balenciaga. People have now dived into all of their campaigns. And in every single one of their campaigns that these folks have looked into, they've seen references to CP. I'm not saying that the CEO knew about it. Like, some of these references were very subtle. They're very small. They were discreet. It's almost like somebody had an obsession with it. The only person I could blame is the creative director, because she's the one who's in charge of this stuff. A picture taken, and if you zoom in on the paperwork that's on the table, papers on the table, you see Supreme Court decisions in favor of CP. Books on a table. When you research the author, you see that there were authors, that they were artists that would engage in putting children in their art in various disgusting ways, like murder and rape and stuff like that. This is purposeful. This is not by accident. But we're not going after people like that the way we're going after people like Ye. Then you look at Ye's situation. I'm going to read out some of the disgusting things that Ye have said that I don't agree with. But look at his situation. He makes these statements, right? And he loses everything. Everything. And everybody that's taking it away from him are the very same people he accuses of being in certain groups. He loses. How have you ever heard, ladies and gentlemen, watching this show? Have you ever heard of somebody losing the ability to bank? Being banned from banking. No banking institution wants to take your hard-earned money. Money that was not earned off of violence, wasn't laundered from drugs, wasn't invested in companies that engaged in forced labor and exploitation like Nike and stuff like that. When have you ever heard of banks saying, I refuse to take your money and you have this amount of time to remove your money from my bank and you can't find a replacement bank, ladies and gentlemen? I've never heard of it. I see people in the chat saying plenty of people. I've never heard of it in America. And if it happened to them, then I just don't know about it, and I can't report on what I don't know. And if you tell me a people's name, I will say, okay, that person did it. But anyway, I'm sorry, going on a tangent. You're Tim Pool, and you get an opportunity to get one of the most talented musicians that ever lived in when it comes to rap and R&B. Anybody who knows or listens to this type of music, hands down admits this is one of the most talented people that ever lived. One of the most creative individuals who's able to bridge the gap from music to fashion and create entirely new different trends. Take a company that's on the brink of insolvency and turn it into one of the most popular sneaker brands. Whereas when they cut ties with him, they're pretty much losing half of their revenue for the next year. To the point where they said, screw it, we don't care what anybody thinks. He's such a bad guy, but we're going to keep using his designs. You have the opportunity to sit with that guy. I'm not saying that you're supposed to sit there and let him just say whatever you want and never push back. But what I observed is Tim Pool talking to Kanye like he's talking to me. Like if Tim Pool with his 1.4 million subscribers saw my show and said, yo, I like this guy, come on my show, I'd expect him to talk over me. I'd expect him to tell me what he thinks. I'd expect him to tell me his ideology. And I'm doing more listening and talking because I'm on a much larger platform. So to me and Ye, I'm a little, to me and Tim Pool, I'm a little fish, and I acknowledge that. But when Kanye comes on your show, you're the little fish. It's your turn to listen. And I understand why Kanye walked off the show because he's trying to express himself. And rather than this guy listen, he's trying to talk over him and tell him his ideology. Now, guess what? I understand also why Tim Pool did what he did. The reason why he did it is because he doesn't want to get canceled. I get that. I respect that. But the problem is, why would you have this man on your show if you feel that his message is something you don't want on your show? And so people say, well, he's anti-Semitic, right? So riddle me this, right? This guy's anti-Semitic, right? Like on the level of the N-word, the NZs. I can't say that word, just like I can't say the regular N-word. Well, actually, YouTube lets you say the N-word, Nigga. They let you say that. And they'll allow you to monetize that. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? That YouTube would allow you to say that, but you can't say the N and the Z word. If this guy is on the level of the N and the Z's, right? He's so anti-Semitic, he's like an N and a Z. Shouldn't we cancel Tim Pool anyway that he was willing to let this man come on his show, presumably to talk about a presidential run? He was willing to give this man a platform with these views that he's being judged upon, right? To speak about possibly being president of the United States. Explain that to me. And if you are an interviewer and you know how Ye is, that he needs to speak, why would you let him on your show if you're not going to let him speak? Tim Pool was not pushing back. I understand if you let him on your show and you push back. He wasn't pushing back, asking tough questions and asking him to expand on things. He was basically defending himself. He's defending himself like, well, I don't think so because he's basically copping a fifth. I get that and I respect it. There's some things I can't say on my show. I get it. But the least you could have did is not have him on your show because you don't believe in his views. Now, like I said, man, I don't agree with the things that Kanye West said. I always say, I know my history. When we talk about the civil rights movement, look at every single picture that you see Martin Luther King with. You will always see Jewish rabbis walking alongside Martin Luther King. Not many of them were Orthodox Jews, so you could not, you maybe didn't notice that they were Jewish people. They were dressed in suits, they were dressed normally. They weren't in religious garb, but they were Jewish. Jewish people have always been on the forefront of civil rights. Jewish people have always fought for black people. And when Kanye West talks about Jewish people being in the entertainment industry, he's not lying. It's the truth. But you should not hold that against them. One of the reasons why you see a lot of Jewish people in banking and in entertainment is because there was bias back then for Jewish people too. They were only allowed in those spaces. It's not acceptable as a Catholic to lend money in interest. And for most of this country, Catholicism and Protestantism was the dominant religions, and they frowned upon those things. They don't have those issues in Jewish theology, so they're able to do it. So you know what they did? Oh, we'll let you have those industries because we don't want to sully our hands according to our religious beliefs. The Christians would say, "Oh, you know what? You could get the entertainment industry because we don't care about that stuff. You know, we'll consume it, but we don't care about that stuff." So of course, if your lane are only these categories, these areas in our economy, you're gonna excel in it. You're gonna raise your children to go into it. You're gonna rise to the top of it. You're gonna dominate the industry. It's not something that they should not be proud of. It's a product of our racist system. That so many different people who were considered outcasts are put into certain sectors, that they're dominating certain areas. You can see the same thing with sports with African Americans. There's not many places they could have gone for so many years in this country, so they excelled by being in sports. So anyway, listen, let's go over some of the evil things that Kanye West has said that he should have to be held accountable for, because it's unfortunate. So we'll just go all the way through it. So this was Forbes magazine, and they kind of like outlined all the things he said that was kind of retarded. Um, on October 3rd with Candace Owen, he says, I'm going to paraphrase a lot of, so I'm not going to read these whole paragraphs. So my intent is not to misquote him, but just to give you a synopsis. You can go out and you can read it on your own. He said that the Southern Poverty Law Center says the term is associated with a neo-Nazi group with the same name that was founded as a racist response to the civil rights movement, Black Lives Matter, and describes itself as dedicated to the promotion of white race and taking positive action as a united force. So he's talking about White Lives Matter. So on October 30th did the White Lives Matter thing and pissed a whole bunch of people off. October 4th, he basically criticized the Louis Vuitton CEO for causing the death of his friend, Abloh, or whatever. What's this guy named? Virgil Abloh, who's a very talented designer who died from cancer. But Ye is saying that the stress that the CEO put on Virgil exacerbated his health and basically resulted in him dying. I don't know what to think about that. That seems more personal, something that somebody would know if they're involved in that person's life. So that's really not something controversial. That's personal between him and that CEO. Let's keep going. October 6th, West said that he basically was Adidas. He said, F Adidas, I am Adidas. Adidas raped and stole my designs. To me, that's not controversial because he's talking slang. When somebody says that something was raped from them, it's definitely not something that's appropriate to say. But in hood talk, that means you stole something from me. Something that was dear to me, you stole it from me, or you used me and you took something from me. And anybody who knows anything about this Adidas Yeezy partnership, you know that Adidas started off with Yeezys as like this like, how should I say, luxury brand. And then like in a few years, their whole lineup looked like Yeezy. Yeah, my daughter wanted a pair of Yeezys, right? And I didn't know how it works, that you basically have to wait for them to drop and it's a lottery and all this bull crap. It was stupid. but they was making stupid money off of it, right? And so me thinking that Yeezys would be on the Adidas website, because I don't wear Adidas, I wear exclusively Nikes, right? I'm an Air Max guy from the 90s and the 2000s. That's what I collect. That's what I buy. I have a thousand sneakers, right? So this is my first time on the Adidas app. And I'm scrolling through and I'm like, yo, all these look like Yeezys, but they don't say Yeezy, because all of the sneakers looked exactly like Yeezys, but they weren't Yeezys. They were just Adidas. So they literally copied his design. So it is what it is. So October 6th, he continued. He said that in an interview with Tucker Carlson, he said West wears an ultrasound photo, and this is basically when he talks about there's more black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. 50% of black death in America is abortion, and then brings up singer Lizzo, who says being overweight genocide of the black race. That was in poor taste. It was a terrible statement to use Lizzo. People just be beating up on Lizzo for what? Leave Lizzo alone. Like, she's overweight. Who cares? Most of America is. When she's ready to fix it, she'll fix it. But it's like every single celebrity. I hear what he's saying. Obesity is a problem, but you don't have to make Lizzo the poster child. Lizzo's just playing her lane. She's a big girl. People keep making fun of her. So she says, all right, I'll be a loud big girl. Lizzo is Lizzo because people keep harassing her. It is what it is. Let's go. October 7th, West, he was restricted on Instagram. He called out P. Diddy, and he said that the Jewish people that told you to call me, that no one can threaten or influence me, right? So he basically saying that Jewish people were behind um, Kanye West. I mean, Kanye West. P. Diddy calling him and threatening him to basically tell him to chill. That was very anti-Semitic. Why are you bringing Jewish people up in this context? If you want to talk about the industry and who's pulling the strings, that's one conversation. But blaming them for everything, unless you can supply concrete evidence that it was Jewish people that made Diddy call you, and you can supply that evidence, that's not an appropriate statement to make. So I denounce that. I think that's horrible by him saying that. And it does fuel anti-Semitism because people already don't like Jewish people since the beginning of time. And when you're a celebrity and you're saying things like that, you are only motivating people on the fringe. So let's go on October 9th. On Twitter, Mess claims he was going to DEF CON 3 on Jewish people, an apparent misspelling of DEF CON, and says it was not anti-Semitism for him to say that because black people are actually Jew also. His account is promptly locked by the social media platform. To say something like DEF CON 3, that to me sounds violent. You know, DEF CON is associated with war. It's associated with the level of threat when it comes to nuclear war. So you could read that from different angles, but still, it sounds like you're saying all Jewish people. 90, even if you have an issue with some people who happen to be Jewish, 99.999% of Jewish people ain't do nothing to you. So don't call them out. I denounce this statement as well. And I'm not saying I denounce it because I have to. I'm just, letting you guys know what statements I have a problem with. Let's keep going. October 10th. While his account was being blocked elsewhere, West posted a documentary on YouTube which contains footage of him displaying a porn movie to Adidas executives. All right, that's weird, man. That's unstable shit, but let's keep going. October 11th, Vice Motherboard leaks footage from West's interview with Carlson that was edited out of the broadcast, including him saying the term Jew refers to the 12 lost tribes of Judah, who the people known as the black race really are. A belief that anti-defamation leak says stems from the Black Hebrew Israelite movement. He also falsely says Planned Parenthood was founded to control the Jew population. But what they do say is Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger did believe in eugenics and the racist and albiced idea of selective breeding, which the organization now denounces. Now, I never knew that. I never knew that Planned Parenthood's founder, Margaret Sanger, believed in eugenics and selective breeding. Interesting. Very, very interesting. October 12th, talk show The Shop says it would not air an interview with West because he used the platform to reiterate more hate speech and extremely dangerous stereotypes. There's a lot to read. I ain't reading all this shit. You go read the rest of it because I got other things I want to cover. The bottom line is, guys, I think that Tim Pool could have did a better job doing that interview. And I think that if you're going to interview Kanye West, you should know what you're getting yourself into. If you think that he's an anti-Semite, you should not interview him. If you think that you're gonna basically lead that conversation, don't interview him. But if you're gonna interview him, you need to understand what you're getting yourself into. And for me, even if I disagree with you, I want to hear your perspective. I've always been consistent with that. If I disagree with you, I still want to hear your perspective. I still want to understand where you're coming from. How are we supposed to help people? How are we supposed to change points of view if we're afraid to hear each other out? But anyway, let's go to the comment section real quick, and then I want to go to the next topic, which is going to be deep. Viewer discretion is advised on the next topic because I will be showing you a video that's going to involve a man who's going to be seriously injured. But we need to revisit this because it's very unfortunate that it happened to this man. His name is Randy Cox, and when he first was injured, I covered the story and I told you guys how I felt about it. But we're gonna get into it right after I get out this comment section. So we got Chris Dry in the building. What's up, brother? We got Taylor Hackness in the building. Loose for the Doberman's in the building. Stevie Miles in the building. He says, "Now I don't have to go watch the other show Wild twice in one day." Appreciate you for coming too. Chris Dry says, "I used to watch him until like he started making his videos longer to get more ads on his videos. All his videos are fluff for more ads." Yeah, I hear you, man. He's getting paid buku money. And Chris Dry is talking about Tim Pool. One thing I can even tolerate Tim Pool more than his co-host, man. I really don't like his co-host, man. Some of them, like the permanent ones, not the ones that kind of rotate. Obviously, you can't like or dislike. They haven't been here that long. But like his co-hosts get on my nerves, man. Jesus Christ. Chris Rice says it's absurd to think that conservative views is a bad thing. It is conservatives if it is the status quo. So the left needs to constantly fight against the status quo. That's the logic. I agree with that, man. I think all views deserve the opportunity to be expressed and debated. There's no such thing as a bad view. I say he stayed on for 20 minutes. Lucifer the Doberman corrected me and said precisely 27 minutes. I could dig it. Thanks for the correction. Emily Reed is in the building. Chris Rice says, "Yo, strategic. Have you seen Abba and Preacher's take on the Kanye and Kyrie stuff? The video was good. I'm gonna take a look at it." Lucifer the Doberman does not like Farrakhan. I have mixed views. I think that he has some very, very anti-Semitic views, and I denounce those things. But I think when he talks specifically about the Black community, some of the things he says resonates, and that's just what we preach on this show. That just because you have certain ideologies that are bad that should be condemned doesn't mean that you're wrong all the time. It's just, but for some reason we just go into our corners and we say, "You bad, you bad all the time, you bad forever," and it's just not how the world works. It's really not. Like I tell you guys about politics, there's things that I would never vote for Trump, but there's things that Trump did that I can say that was a good deed. I don't support Biden, but there's things that Biden has done that said that is a good deed because they personally benefited me. And as a voter, it's something that matters to me. Not everybody is 100% bad, and nobody is wrong all the time. Let's keep going. T. Williams in the building. What's happening? Letitia Piggott is in the building. Letitia says, "I feel you, but I'm African American and I know where my ancestors came from." That's awesome, man. It's really, really good. Stevie Murray says, "Ask strategic eyes show how are his comments not anti-Semitic?" I did not say that, but once again, I'm going through who knows when you sent that message. His comments are anti-Semitic. Many of them are, as I've pointed out when I was reading some of his comments. And continue reading those comments. He probably said even more. You know what? October 17th says in an interview with Chris Cuomo, West talks about the Jewish underground media mafia. It says his DEFCON 3 remarks refer to when Black musicians signed to Jewish record labels, and those Jewish record labels take ownership, a form of modern-day slavery. The AOL says his remarks use age-old anti-Semitic myths about Jewish greed, power, and control of the entertainment industry. Is the delivery bad? Absolutely. Is there any truth in what he's saying? We should talk about it. Because some of the things he said, people have been complaining about years. But I'm not going to put that on the Jewish community, but I can say that about the industry, period. that the industry oftentimes signs artists to bad deals and usually takes advantage of them. The industry also forced artists to make gangster music that destroys the black community. We talk about that all the time on this show. Now, because I love Jewish people and I've always had respect for Jewish people, I'm not going to sit here and say that Jewish people are the people, as though there are no black people who are in power who are part of this game. There's no regular white people who aren't Jewish who are in the executive ranks and are part of that game. I'm not going to do that because that would be disingenuous and it would not be accurate. But is some of what he's saying true? Because if you remove Jewish from that statement is mostly correct. If you don't put blame on Jewish people for what he's saying, if he removes Jewish, because that's unfair and it's not accurate. But if he removes Jewish, almost everything he said in this particular statement is true when it comes to the entertainment industry and specifically musicians. But let's keep going. Lucifer Dorman says sunlight is the best disinfectant. And I think what you mean by that, if I'm not mistaken, is that let people talk and say things so that we can hear it in the public square and deal with it rather than people say these things in closed rooms, echo chambers, and usually that results in people getting radicalized. That's why I'm such a free speech proponent. Because when you try and shame people, even when they deserve to be shamed, when you try and shame people, they don't take that as constructive criticism. They simply go into their own respective corners, their echo chambers, and they become radicalized. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Chris Rock says 100% strategic. App and Preach made a video on this saying the same thing. All right, I'm definitely gonna check that out. Definitely. Let's see what T. Williams has to say. It says sad people won't care enough to any slaves to consumerism. Too many slaves to consumerism. I agree. Consumerism is everything. Kelly B says I agree. Throw some claps up for me. Appreciate you. David S is in the building. He says, damn, you would do a live while I was on the phone. Sorry, buddy. Didn't mean to interrupt your conversation. All right, so we'll scroll down to the bottom because I want to get to the next topic because this is definitely very, very, very sad topic. Real quick, T. Williams says, Astro Teacher Show, did you hear that Adidas and Puma formed from the same family, had strong ties to the Nazi Party? Absolutely. You just go on Wikipedia. I read that like 3 years ago because I'm just a curious person. I'll take a brand and be like, where did it start? It's on Wikipedia. These are Nazi companies, just like Volkswagen. When Alyssa Milano tried to say, I traded in my Tesla for a Volkswagen because I don't support Elon Musk. And it's like, yo, dude, those were the guys making jet engines and cars and all that for the Nazi party during World War II. You know, anything from Germany that's more than 100 years old or around 100 years old supported the Nazi war effort. Let's keep going. We got a $5 super chat from Lucifer the Doberman. Says, bro, you didn't know about PP? Oh my God. The rabbit hole will hurt you, will hurt your heart. What's PP? The hell is that? Tell me what PP is. I'm wilding. Maybe I said it. But please, tell me what the PP is. Thanks a lot for the super chat, Lucifer. You are amazing. I appreciate you. Let's keep going. I'm trying to scroll down to the bottom. David S says Tim Pool is not right or left. I don't know. Maybe I need to give him another chance, but I really don't like that guy, man. Respect him. Don't get it twisted. If I saw Tim Pool right now, I'd shake his hand, be like, yo, man, you built a media empire. How did you do it? You know, can you give me some advice? Da 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 da. Because I don't personally dislike this person. If he told me come on the show, I'd come on the show. If he said, "Oh, but you made some disparaging remarks while we in front of his million audience," I'm saying, "Oh, listen, I don't agree with your ideology most of the time, but it's not personal. I respect you for what you've done, and that's not me copping a fifth and trying to kiss his ass. That's just reality. I don't like some of your views, but I do respect what you've built. I do admire your business acumen and your ability to put on a show. His show looks nice. The conversations flow nice. I respect that. I aspire to that, but I don't like his ideology. Let's keep going. Um, let's keep going. Emily Rita wants to know my thoughts on LeBron James. I don't really have any thoughts on him. I'll have to think about that one and get back to you. Um, let's keep going. XOXO Bob is in the building. You are the man. What's up, XO? Appreciate you for coming through. I'm almost down to the bottom. We can go to the next topic. Awesome. 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 Oh, awesome. Lucius Dorman says, not liking Tim Pool is nothing to be ashamed of. Emily Rita says, oh, Planned Parenthood. Got you, got you, got you, got you. Yeah, man. That's retarded. I definitely got to look into that. Definitely. TNT Tychos PDX says Tim Pool doesn't like Tim Pool, but he has a good show. Absolutely. He has a great show, man. Real good show. Interesting show. The way that they put it on. Just when a dude start talking, I start bailing. Anyway, I'm sure there's a lot of people that say that about me too. So let's keep it real. Let's be honest. Let's go to the next topic, guys. This one is sad, man. This is sad. This is Randy Cox. This is the guy in Connecticut who was arrested, right? And they put him in the back of the paddy wagon. They didn't buckle him up or anything like that. The officer was speeding. The officer hit the brake so he could avoid a car accident because he's speeding. And Randy Cox was paralyzed. And how these officers treated him after that broke my heart. And we covered that. I want to go ahead and bring that back in, guys. And I want to watch that with you again because we got some big updates to this story. Big. But first, before we can do it, talk about those updates, we got to get reacquainted with the story. Let's do it. Viewer discretion is advised, guys. And this is definitely the guy who broke his neck, XOXO Bob. Oh, I screwed up. My apologies, guys. Let me just get this camera back on me. I forgot I have to connect this via Bluetooth so you guys can hear it. Apologize for that.
Bluetooth connected.
Perfect. We're connected.
Can I talk to you for a second?
Whatever, quick. What's up? Whatever, quick.
Just hold up, okay?
All right, what's up? Is there anything on you?
Anything on you?
My phone. What? I'm on the phone for girls. Cover my mind.
All we're doing is detaining you right this second, okay? Done. Done.
First of all, those mechanics gloves aren't good police gloves. He needs gloves. He needs to get himself some gauze, cut-proof gloves. But I just want to stop and say, listen, this guy was lawfully arrested. This guy had a gun on him. He should not have had a gun on him. I think he's a felon. It's totally illegal. It was a totally justified police contact, okay? These cops here who are arresting him did their job. They're good cops. They're not corrupt. They did exactly what they're supposed to do, and they removed somebody from the streets who possibly could have been dangerous. Let's keep going.
Sarge, 75.
All right.
All right, step right in there.
Got it?
This dude right here that you're looking at, he looks Latino. This is a piece of shit cop who deserves to go to jail. I'm going to say that one more time. As a police officer who is looking at one of my brothers, this piece of shit cop needs to go to jail. Let's keep going.
One leg at a time.
One leg
Yeah,
at a
watch
time.
your head.
Watch your head, all right?
Yo. That's right.
You felt? All right, hold on.
This is when this guy should have been, this right here, this moment is what solidified my belief that this particular officer needs to go to jail. There are other people that we're going to see had bit parts in this, had opportunities to help this man, but didn't. But they weren't there. And I got to tell you the truth. These perps lie all the time, man. They lie, they go limp, they don't want to go, they don't want to walk, you got to carry them. It's easy for officers to think this is just another lying perp. They weren't here though. They did not see, they did not hear that thump in the back of their car. They did not speed down the street and hit the brake and result in this man getting hurt. And they did not stop the car and have the conversation that we're about to see him have right now. That's why he has more culpability than everybody else. And I got to tell you, let me jump the horse and jump the shark and all that bullshit. 5 officers are being charged with misdemeanors in relation to what happened to Mr. Randy Cox. But to me, even though it's going to look ugly the way they're treating him later on, I don't even think you needed to charge those other people. They could have simply just been fired from their job. But this guy should have been charged with felonies. This guy should do time in prison. None of them are going to do time in prison because they're low-level misdemeanors and they're cops. They don't have records. Or they have very tiny records. Like when they're little, they had a little misdemeanor that got dismissed or got pled down or something like that. That's bullshit. This guy should go to jail. Watch the interaction he has.
What happened? What?
Look at him. You open the car and you see this guy on the floor like that? You should immediately call 911 just to cover yourself. Call for EMS. So what if you got to take the guy to EMS and he's lying? You open the door, you see him lying down like that. You have to put his safety first. Listen to this.
You fell.
Yeah.
What happened? Can you move at all?
I can't move.
What? How your leg is all the way up there?
You hear this dude talk like I can't move. And you fucking idiot. You don't think that he's hurt? You don't think he's hurt? Guys, understand that. His neck was moving a little bit. His body, his arms were moving. It's because they didn't get him immediate medical treatment where they could stabilize the neck and get the pressure off of the cord that this man is now paralyzed. You understand that? You understand that if this dude would have put this guy in a recovery position and leave him there and call EMS and stay there with him and let EMS come and put the neck brace on him and stabilize his neck, that this man might be able to walk to this day. He is now permanently paralyzed for the rest of his life because he did not get the help that he needed when he needed it. Let's keep going.
Understand me? Listen, brother.
All right, I can't move you, so I have to hold on. I'm gonna have to go get an ambulance. You started a signal 1. The subject.
Now here we go. This is why this guy, to me, needs to go to jail. He said, I'm gonna have to call you an ambulance. He made the decision that rather than wait there for the ambulance or at least drive this guy straight to the to the emergency room, he decided he was gonna take him to the jail cell where they would call the ambulance for him there when he arrives at the jail cell. So he knew that this man needed an ambulance. He knew it because he acknowledged, oh, I'm gonna have to call you an ambulance. But his plan was, oh, well, you know what? Rather than wait here for the ambulance to come, I'm going to take him back to the station house, to the holding, to the bookings. It's culpability, bro. He knew what he was doing. He knew he was wrong. Now, somebody asked inside the chat, why did he abruptly brake? Was it because he was on the phone? That probably contributed to it. He was speeding and a car was coming to an intersection. He was going to hit a car. He was disobeying traffic rules for a non-emergency. Transporting somebody to the jail is not an emergency. You don't go lights and sirens unless the person is back there wigging out, fighting and stuff like that. Kicking and screaming and all that bull crap. He was speeding for no reason. The car is about to hit him because he's blown through the intersection, and that's when he hits the brake, and that's when he changes this man's life forever. Let's keep going.
Yeah, van. He said he fell inside the van, and he can't move. So I'm on my way to detention right now. So please, can you start me signal 1 over there?
So there you go. He's talking to the dispatch, making that executive decision that rather than keep the guy where he's at so he's not moving, I'm going to keep driving him in the same vehicle that caused his injury. He's injured because of your driving. Rather than you stop driving and get him immediate medical attention, you decide to keep driving and to have EMS meet you at the jail. But apparently, EMS didn't come to the goddamn jail. Let's keep going.
Go for an ambulance. When on the way here, somebody crossed me over, so I stopped in the brake, but I don't know. He said he fell inside the van, and he's all, I opened the door and checked. I was talking to him, and he said he can't move. So if he really fell, we're not even moving until the ambulance gets here, because just in case.
All right, so here we go now. So this is where the real culpability comes in, because he's actually telling it to the sergeant as he sees it happen, as it was reported to him from this man in the back, from Randy Cox. He said, yo, somebody tried to cut me off, which is lying a little bit because he was speeding, but still, he acknowledged that there was a almost accident. He said, yo, I opened the door, he's back there, and he said he fell, and if he really fell, we need not move him until the ambulance come. So now this is where this sergeant, this female you just saw, why her and the other officers that assisted are criminally charged, because she disregarded the report from this idiot officer. He's an idiot because of what he did to this man from his reckless driving. She disregarded the fact that he just acknowledged that I was in an almost accident and this guy's hurt. And she now starts treating him like he's a piece of shit. Treating him like he's lying when your officer just reported to you that it might just be true because I really was in an accident, almost accident, and I saw him on the floor. When the dude opened the back door, remember what he said? Why is your leg all the way up there? His leg is all the way up there because it's not sending signals to his brain anymore. The inhibition of my leg is straining, my ligaments are hurting. It's gone because he can't walk, man. That's why his leg is all the way up there. Let's keep going.
Oh, okay. Move your leg. Sit up.
Look at that.
Sit up.
I can't move.
You're not even trying.
What's the here?
Oh my God.
Almost there. Get your shoulders out. Ready?
Jesus Christ, I can't even watch this, man. It's making me emotional because I understand as a professional, I understand how all of this movement is dooming this man's chances to ever walk again, man. All of this dragging and pulling is destroying his cord, destroying his spinal cord, destroying his neck. He could have walked again, man. Nothing he did on the streets warranted this punishment. He's not a murderer. He's not a rapist. He's a two-bit criminal. He never shot nobody. He never had no manslaughter charge, no nothing. This is not the justice he deserved. To take somebody's ability to walk away due to this type of negligence is heartbreaking, man. It really is.
Stand up. There we go. All right. How are you making up? Ready? Actually, go look at that shit. Get the. Listen, he was fine walking. All right. Like I said, he was kicking that door, no problem.
Hold the tag door. Hold the tag door. Hold.
Sit up.
Oh, Lord.
Sit up.
Oh, my
Doing
God.
extra shit. Sit up.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm fucking broke my nut cut like here.
Oh, my God. Oh, my
I
God.
can't read.
No, we know what you're doing. Don't worry about it. You know, all right? Just grab it around.
Oh, Lord. And they just throw him in the cell. Just throw him in the goddamn cell.
He's perfectly fine. You want to put these on? Yep. Hold on, Ron.
And this chick claims he blew a kiss at her. Did you see him blow a kiss? Let's go back. This dude neck broken. You just because he pucker his lips a little bit, that means he blew a kiss. The dude can't move nothing on his body. The least he could do is wet his lips. This chick said he blew a kiss. Let's see if we see that. That's not blowing kiss. The man, like, He's grimacing. He's grimacing, and she said he blew a kiss. The man is literally grimacing because his neck is broken, and she said he blew a kiss, furthering into that lie that he's A-OK. And everything that they're doing right now is perfectly fine. Let's keep going, man.
Oh, okay. He's perfectly fine. You want to put these on? Yeah. Hold on, Ron. Hold on, Ron.
Wow.
I got the key.
Mm-mm-mm. Jesus Christ. Has a second neck injury. Oh, hold on. I want to let me just pause that real quick. Let's pause that here. The 5 officers involved in the incident have been placed on paid leave while state police are. So we know that they got criminally charged. Oh, hold on. What they say about the seatbelts? Hold on here. Let's go back. All right, I want to read some of this. I didn't read that. Let's keep going. Cox is cuffed at the ankles in a holding cell 20 minutes after his injury. First of all, you only cuff people. Well, listen, I don't work for Connecticut, so they might have different rules. But in my department, we only cuff people in cells if they're physically resisting. You're physically resisting, you get cuffed. Or if you're being transported in the hospital. So maybe they cuffed him because he was being transported to the hospital if they have the same rules and regulations, which they most likely don't. Let's keep going.
I got the key.
All right. I definitely want to read these things. I already read that. All right, so there you go. Spock, come on. Cox has a second neck injury and is currently on a respirator and eaten through a feeding tube, according to his attorney, Jack O'Donnell. As of June 30th, Cox is paralyzed from his neck down. Attorneys and family members are calling for the release of the video. Shameful, man. Literally shameful. Literally shameful what we saw there. Broke my heart. Absolutely, positively broke my heart. These are the officers who have been charged. This is the one that says he blew a kiss at me. This is the sergeant that showed no judgment whatsoever, who was callous and treated him like he was a piece of trash, like it was impossible for him to possibly be hurt. This is the officer who was texting while driving, speeding for a non-emergency, hit the brake, heard this man smash into the wall, opened the door and acknowledged that the guy was hurt, called EMS and said, meet me at the jail instead of staying put and making sure that the man went to the hospital. This guy could have saved this man. It had just been an accident. He probably gets suspended for a week. Everything would be good. This young man, Cox, would have a long recovery, but he'd eventually recover if his neck would have been stabilized and he'd have got the treatment as soon as the injury was discovered. It is his fault that they went back to the jail. It was his fault that by going back to the jail, he then encountered this sergeant who gave two shits about his injury, and this chick who said that he's blowing kisses, and these fools who stood by and did nothing and simply followed the orders of this woman, and now you guys are being criminally charged. These two men are being criminally charged because they didn't have the balls to speak up and say, yo, Sarge, he might really be hurt. He needs to go to the hospital. But all of these people would never have met Randy Cox if this officer right here would have simply waited for the ambulance and allowed this young man to go to the hospital immediately. This is the catalyst. This is the beginning. As they say in metaphysics, this is the first mover. He did that. So all 5 officers are being criminally charged. And like I told you, they're misdemeanors. So expect no jail time for any officer. Expect them to, some of them at least, to get deals where they probably won't even get misdemeanors. Probably be violations. 1 or 2 of them may even be able to keep their job. I suspect probably these 3 up here have the best chances, with her being a least because she said something stupid, or maybe that's just my own bias. I'm sorry, you guys can't see it. Let me bring it back up. These 3 up here have the greatest chance of keeping their jobs because charges will most likely be downgraded for them. Her being a least because she actually said something. These guys were just doing what they were told. She's most likely going to get fired and probably won't get a deal. She'll probably get her misdemeanor. Same thing for him. He'll probably get his misdemeanor and he'll probably be terminated as well. But in all actuality, I truly believe that this officer showed the most negligence and he should be criminally charged. He should face felony charges. There has to be a felony charge inside of their statutes that could make this man adequately pay for what he did to Randy Cox. He's the one who injured Randy Cox for his reckless driving, and he's the one that did not take Randy Cox's injuries seriously. Anyway, I'd love to know what you guys think about it in the comment section, so make sure, especially for the people who are watching this on the replay, make sure that you put your thoughts inside the comment section. So let's go to the last topic we're going to discuss today, and that is going to be the Buffalo shooter. This douchebag, Peyton Gendron. We go ahead and type Peyton in here so we can see. Actually, I got a video for Peyton. Let's pull that up real quick. Peyton Gendron, the racist, white supremacist, supermarket Buffalo shooter.
A shooting at a Buffalo.
Let me go ahead, bring this up, share my screen with you guys. Let's do it.
Supermarket pleaded guilty today.
The victims, including customers, employees, and an armed security guard, ranged in age from 20 to 86. 11 of the 13 people shot were black. And now 19-year-old Peyton Gendron is expected to spend the rest of his life in prison. CBS 2's Jenna DeAngelis here in studio with details on what happened today in court.
Well, Maurice and Christine, by pleading guilty to New York State's terrorism charge, that's an automatic sentence to life without parole. No cameras were allowed inside the courtroom today, but after the hearing, the district attorney went through the overwhelming evidence supporting this was a racially motivated attack.
This case is a poster child for swift justice.
More than 6 months after the horrific shooting, 19-year-old Peyton Gendron pleaded guilty to killing 10 people at the Tops Friendly Market in Buffalo.
Although the attack lasted just over 2 minutes, the defendant's planning of a racially motivated attack occurred over a span of several months.
The district attorney detailed evidence of the shooter's motivation, including video footage of the attack and a document outlining his goal to kill as many African Americans.
Yo, this was absolutely positively a racist attack. Absolutely positively a racist attack. I outlined this when I covered this initially. I mean, this guy had so many opportunities to turn a page and not do what he did. This guy went the day before when he did a walkthrough recon of his target, and he had an hours-long conversation with an African-American male where if he thought that African-Americans weren't human, if he dehumanized us so that he could be able to carry out its attack, this black male, this elder, humanized us. They talked about string theory. They talked about politics. They talked about race relations. They talked about everything. And even after having a conversation where he shook and hugged the man, the black man that he spoke to, he still decided to come back the next day, drive over 2 hours, and kill these innocent people. This was a racist, racially motivated attack. He said it in his manifesto and his online writings that he wanted to kill black people, that he hated black people. And the only dissatisfaction that I have is that this douchebag committed this crime in the state of New York. And by committing this crime in the state of New York does not have a death penalty. And this fool will spend the rest of his life in a New York prison. And I got to tell you, when I was leaving New York State prison and in my employment, over a decade of service to the New York State prison system, they were giving them tablets. They had TV in their cells. They had cable TV. They had HBO, Cinemax, all that shit. The only thing they have amenities in New York State prisons. They have a commissary that sells every type of food you could possibly desire. If you have the money, you quite frankly will eat just like you were free. You could even get ice cream. They sell ice cream in the commissary. They have refrigerators for you to store your food in. Every inmate get their own little spot. It's amazing how they divvy up the refrigerators. Each dorm has like 5, 6 different refrigerators that the inmates can put their stuff in. Their ice cream in their freezer and their juices and their milks and their perishables in the refrigerator. Amazing how they stack it in there with the net bags. The only solace I could say is that for many years, I worked as a sex crimes investigator in the prison system. So I can tell you professionally, prison rape happens. And based off of this guy's age, his crime, he is what we call victim prone, meaning that his archetype of person is somebody who is likely to be victimized in the prison. And another thing I can say about New York State prisons is that 70% is so shameful, but it's the truth. 70% of the population are African Americans. There are very few white supremacists in the prison, and they are usually bitch boys. They are beat up upon. They're on the low. They have no power inside of the prisons amongst inmates. It's not like Cali where they have tons of white supremacists that you could link up with and get protection. There's no protection if you're a white supremacist in New York State prisons because New York State prisons are just filled with African Americans. He's going to be beat up. He's going to be victimized. Now, XOXO Bob says, will he be placed in general population or separated from it? He will not be placed in gen population. He'll be placed in PC. But a little known secret in New York State is that PC is not safe. PC is filled with gangsters that have beef with other people. PC is filled with rapists who are dangerous, crazy animals, but they're targeted because they're rapists. When you're in special housing unit for disciplinary, you're safe because you're segregated from everybody else. But when you're in PC, you're simply put on a housing unit with other PC people. And it will be those people in PC who will be the ones who are victimizing Peyton Gendron. Somebody's going to try his ass. They're not going to try his ass because they think he's attractive. They're not going to try his ass because they're horny. They're going to try his ass because that is the greatest disrespect you can do to somebody other than taking their life. They're going to try his ass because they want him to live with that trauma. That's why 90% of the ass trying happens in New York State prison. New York is a very liberal state. Gay people do not hide their sexuality in prison. We have trannies in prison with breasts and augmented asses, and they're taking hormones. In New York State, if you come into the system taking hormones, New York will continue to supply you with hormones. The only way you go to a female prison is if you have bottom surgery and you no longer have a penis, and even that's changing. They've done a pilot program where they've sent transgender people who have penises into female prisons. From my understanding, a female inmate was pregnant, and they've been caught having sex with females, with biological females, multiple times. So I don't know if the program is going to work or not. But as of now, 90% of transgender people are still placed in male prisons. So my point in saying that is, if you want to have sex with somebody, you don't have to rape them. If you're willing to have sex with somebody of your same gender, you can do that in New York State prison via getting to a relationship or prostitution. 90% of the rape that happens in New York State prisons, take this from a sex crimes professional who investigated sex crimes in New York State prison for almost 10 years before switching over to the police department. I was in corrections for over a decade, both as a correction officer and then an investigator, but I investigated for almost 10 years. And I left as a senior investigator who supervised 10 investigators. And I can assure you, as one of the most premier investigators that ever did it, not my words, this is what people said to me. That's what they said to me when they gave me a $40,000 raise and made me a senior investigator. I can assure you, he's going to be tried. They're going to try his ass. And it don't matter how strong you are or how much of a good fighter you are. You can't stop 5, 6 dudes who are the same build, if not bigger than you, who want to victimize you. You can't stop your bunkie when you sleeping and you vulnerable and you laying on your stomach trying to get a nap, and he jump on top of you and put a knife to your neck, and he say, you gotta give me that ass or this knife is going through your neck. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It's easy when you not in that situation. Well, yo, I'm gonna have to die. You gonna have to kill me. Easy to say that when you don't got that knife to your neck. It's another thing when your instinct, your animal instinct of survival kicks in, and it's like, I don't want to die. And your brain start whispering to you. And this is from interviews I've done with victims. And the brain starts whispering to you, this too shall pass. It's one thing when you listening to the Strategic Eyes show and you a man's man and you like, man, that dude gonna have to stab me because nobody putting their pee-pee in my booty hole. It's another thing when that knife is to your neck and you know that your bunkie is in there for murder and you know he'll cut your goddamn neck. Then that brain start whispering to you, this too shall pass. Real shit, real talk, people. Real talk. They're going to get that ass, Peyton Gendron. They're going to get that ass, boy. Anyway, play guilty. Let's let it keep playing.
Americans as possible. He says he researched and targeted the location in a predominantly black neighborhood and drove several hours from his home in Conklin near Binghamton to carry out the attack.
The penalty for this horrific crime is for this individual never, ever to see the light of day again.
Though the federal case continues, his actions today ensure that there will be no state court trial and he will not appeal.
This is not enough for the families impacted who want to see gun violence and racism addressed in our country.
My mother didn't deserve this. None of these people deserve this. But yeah, here we are begging, literally begging for those who are in power to do something about it.
Loved ones of 4 of the victims described an emotional day in court.
Just hearing them read the details. Who got shot first, second, Tyre got shot third.
Backed by their attorneys calling for stricter punishment.
We want him to be treated as the heinous, cold-blooded, vicious murderer that he was for killing all these innocent black people.
And that brings us to the separate federal hate crime charges, which could carry the death penalty if convicted. He has pleaded not guilty to those charges, but the DA says this killer is the first ever to be found guilty of the state terrorism charge motivated by hate. Maurice and Christine.
Well, his family's still grieving, clearly, Jenna.
Terrible.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, that's wow. Jesus Christ. Man, listen. If the feds, first of all, you need to talk to that USA attorney. Get your attorney to talk to that USA and say, listen, I will plead guilty to the death penalty if you allow me to wait out my death sentence in federal prison. If you allow me to wait out my death penalty in federal prison, at least in federal prison, it'll be the best days of your life before they kill you. And let's be honest, I think they barely kill anybody in federal death penalty. I'd much rather be in the Supermax, wherever that shit is at. Was it Colorado or something, the Supermax? I'd rather be in there seeing the sun through an opaque window than be in Clinton or Elmira or Great Meadow or Southport Correctional Facility or Attica. I'd rather be there in those jails, get my ass tore out. I'd rather be in a Supermax. I'd rather, man. Let's keep going. Anyway, I think we're done for the day with that one. Appreciate you guys joining me on this this crazy night where we got so much different things happening. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this video up. So you'll see 3 different videos. Just do me a favor. Watch, you already checked the live out. Just watch 2 minutes of it, get some YouTube algorithm going, and then hit that like button and throw a comment in the comment section for the algorithm. For those of you who've joined me here on this live. For everybody else who's going to watch it, I'll leave this live up, of course. You can watch the whole live, but I'm also going to chop it up into little pieces so that you can see each topic separately, because I think that each one of these topics are worthy of making sure that people can access them. When I do these long lives, there's no way of the YouTube algorithm to understand that I spoke about these different things. So when people type in a topic, you may not even see my show. I know YouTube shadow bans me, but these long lives also don't help. And I've come to realize that. So I need to do what other people do when they do their long lives, which is chop them up and release them. And I've done that in the past. The problem is I don't have time, people. I don't have freaking time. You understand? Time is everything, I just barely have enough time to give you the show, to be chopping it up and editing it and throwing separate shows out there. It's Jesus Christ, man. Wish I was rich so I could just hire an editor. But appreciate you guys joining me. I'm gonna get the hell out of here. You guys were great. Pray for the victims. We'll talk about this on another night. Like, subscribe, join the channel. Make sure you hit that like button. And if you can, make sure you hit that membership button. Join the membership, support the channel. And if you could do that, hit it with the Cash App, with the one-time donation. That's great. We appreciate that. PayPal as well. One-time donations are welcome of any amount. Some people sent me $2. It's $2 more than what the show had the moment before you sent it. We are grateful for whatever we could get. And lastly, we do have Patreon, and I do post very interesting things on the Patreon. I got to warn you, some of those things are very violent and controversial, so viewer discretion is advised. We are streaming today on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So make sure that you're in tune with all those things, because if you happen to be on a different platform and I'm live, you can catch me there. Also know that this show is also rebroadcast on Rumble and Odyssey. So subscribe to the channel on those shows, on those platforms as well. Help us grow so that we're not only relying on YouTube. We know how fickle YouTube can be, and we want to promote free speech. The only way we're going to do that is by empowering these other social media platforms and giving them support there. YouTube will never change if we keep coming back to YouTube. So as viewers, I'm making it available everywhere else. Sometimes take the time to go and view the show on these other platforms as well. Anyway, like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.